Your mic.
Oh, yeah, that would help. Good evening. Welcome to the September Curriculum Committee of the Board meeting. We'll call the meeting to order at this time. Do we have any public comment on our agenda items?
Not at this time.
Okay. That being said, we're going to turn over new business. I'll turn it over to Ms. Gagaitis. Get us started.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to our first Curriculum Committee of the Board meeting for this year. This evening, we have a few things on our agenda. We are going to first talk about a document that is required from the Pennsylvania Department of Education. We are going to be reviewing the Colonial School District draft of our Future Ready Comprehensive Plan and 3 additional supporting plans. We are also going to review the professional development with you this evening that we started our school year with, and we're going to make the connection for you to our comprehensive plan. We are also going to highlight some of our summer programming for you, and we have a few conference requests that we will present to you for approval. So we'll start with our Future Ready Comprehensive Plan. So the Future Ready Index, as we all know, is a collection of progress measures related to school and student success. The index includes a range of assessments, on-track and readiness indicators to more accurately report student learning, growth, and success in the classroom and beyond. A district's Future Ready Comprehensive Plan should support the advancement of these measures. This plan has also been referred to in the past as a strategic plan for a district, but now it is referred to as the Future Ready Comp Plan. It is designed, again, to increase our Future Ready Index. This evening, we're going to be walking you through the process of planning. We did begin this process last fall. PDE created the Future Ready Comp Plan so that all districts in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania had the same consistent framework for planning. Every 3 years, districts are required to draft a new plan. Next slide, Drew. As I stated earlier, we began our planning in October of 2021. We had several meetings with those that either volunteered or some we asked with a little bit more persistence. And we appreciate everybody who was on our committee. Many of you are in this room. These meetings were held and hosted by the Montgomery County Intermediate Unit, the Office of Professional Learning, with all stakeholders. And then later, meetings were more focused with smaller groups discussing specific teaching and learning. The district will use this Future Ready Comp Plan to decide future decisions in the district. So the steering committee, as I just stated, consists of everybody you see there on that slide. Again, many of you participated, and we appreciate that. If you would like to see the specifics of the names, it is linked to this document on the agenda page, and page 41 outlines everyone that was on the steering committee. But it did include staff, students, parents, community members, and the Montgomery County Intermediate Unit as well. Part of the process that we went through with the Montgomery County Intermediate Unit was an exercise with the entire committee to revise our mission and our vision. School districts often revisit the mission and the vision of the district during comprehensive planning. You will see that our collectively revised draft mission and vision is posted on the board. Our new mission that we are proposing, and with your approval on Thursday night, will be for students to learn, grow, and serve in a school community that is welcoming for all. And our new vision is to prepare resilient, lifelong learners and leaders who will enrich the world. Our educational value statements were also collected during this planning process. So as part of the process that we went through with the Montgomery County Intermediate Unit, we were all divided into various stakeholder groups. We were asked specific questions, and we were given the opportunity to provide input on what do we value as various stakeholders. They're listed above, and they were given from each group. Please take a minute to read them. And we have 2 more for our parents and guardians and community on the next page. For those that are listening, our students will build acceptance and value for all in the school community. Teachers and staff will facilitate the growth of students as self-directed learners. Administration will provide a supportive and effective environment for both teaching and learning. And our parents and guardians, family members and caregivers will support the school community in the growth and development of lifelong learners. And our community, the school board, will represent the community and support student-centered decision-making around policies and learning. The next slide outlines the process that we went through as part of Future Ready Comprehensive Planning. Pennsylvania Department of Education provides a portal that guides our committee through each step to help draft the plan. The steps are noted, strengths were identified, and as a district, we are encouraged to continue to build upon those strengths. Challenges were reviewed, priorities were identified based on those challenges. Then we established evidence-based strategies, and we are going to use those to support our priorities that we identified. Using the strategies allows us to achieve our goals. And then from the goals, we develop our action plan, which are driven by professional development. Again, a reminder of our mission, our reason for existence. Why are we here in the Colonial School District? We are here to help our students learn and grow. Tonight, we are not reviewing all of our strengths, and there are many, or our challenges, but they are outlined in the official document that was shared and is also on our website for anyone to visit. These plans have also been posted for the past 28 days as required by the Pennsylvania Department of Education. Our priorities were identified based on the challenges that we noted, or another way of looking at it is our needs or our areas of improvement. Again, the priorities that we are revisiting may be at the forefront of our plan, again, due to the pandemic, but they're always worth revisiting. The priorities identified are teachers are going to utilize data protocols. Teachers are going to identify learning intentions and success criteria for our lessons and clearly communicate them to students. This is known as clarity. We are doing a lot of work with clarity. We also highlighted that a priority, our administrators are going to conduct comprehensive classroom observations that focus on developing areas of growth to support that clarity. And administrators will again use walkthroughs as evidence of progress towards the areas of growth that we have identified. We stated early that our evidence-based strategies will be utilized to support the priorities because of those challenges. These strategies are very well known to us, but revisiting them is essential. We continue to collaboratively instructionally plan, and we will continue to analyze data. This came up multiple times as a challenge for us. So we have now specific protocols that will guide our planning and guide those collaborative instructional planning times. We also found that it was necessary to revisit timely, authentic feedback and support on our instructional practices. Our teachers are going to improve in their craft of teaching with support from their instructional leaders in the district. Again, this has always been a priority, but it continues to be a need in our plan. And our last evidence-based strategy, and they are not listed in the order of importance, the last one is we are going to continue to emphasize creating our safe and supportive environments where our students feel welcomed. Next slide, Drew. Sorry. Thank you. Where our students feel welcome and valued. Because we know without these environments, our students are not going to be able to learn, grow, and serve in our community. Again, highlighting our mission or our purpose. So therefore, we have all of our priorities and we come up with our goals. Just to note, the goals that we have listed here are 3 years. Remember, this plan is for 3 years, so this is our goal for the 3rd year. The goals that are highlighted in the plan that you can note on the website or attached to this document give all the incremental goals. But our goal, by year 3, 95% of our students will meet or exceed their individual growth goals, which the state calls student performance measures, through data-driven, differentiated small group instruction. 95% of our students will meet these goals because they were thriving in a positive school environment where all members feel welcome, supported, and safe. And 100% of our lessons will explicitly communicate those learning intentions and success criteria throughout the instructional period. We also have 95% of our students will be able to articulate to anyone in the classroom what they are learning, why they are learning it, and how they know they have learned it. Again, this is referred to clarity. And 100% of administrators will identify areas of growth and observations focused on improving the clarity for learning practices. And 100% of our observations will have follow-up walkthroughs that focus on any identified areas of growth for that teacher. The next part of our plan is our professional development action plan. But before we go there, I've been talking for a long time, and I just want to stop and take any thoughts, questions, or comments.
Sorry,
Is that clear? Go ahead.
question about clarity.
Yes.
As a program or concept, heard a lot at Back School Night about clarity, and a lot of teachers saying, so I guess the differentiation for me I was trying to figure out is when the way it's referenced, it feels like people are referencing it as small c clarity and not like this is a formal program that has these guidelines that has, because I know the teachers got a book about it last year in the professional development and a way of communicating if like, I guess, I mean, in this part, it's very clear what that we're trying to do from clarity, but as it goes through to the parents, if there's a way like these are our goal, differentiating big C clarity versus small c clarity.
So the big C clarity, as you're saying, you are correct. We did get a book for all of our staff last year called Clarity for Learning. But developing that clarity within each lesson, the little c, we can highlight that more specifically for you, for the teachers to provide to open house. Is that what you mean?
No more just for the parents, like this is, we're doing this larger practice.
Yep. And it's really just to get those students to own that learning. But yes, we can do that. Any other thoughts or questions?
Just one question around, it sounds like you were being really intentional in terms of like walkthroughs and how professional learning time is being used, and I think that's great. I guess my question is about what research-based practices or books or guidance is being used to drive that space, particularly around walkthroughs and feedback to teachers. Just curious.
Yeah. So we continue to use Charlotte Danielson's model of the educator effectiveness framework, and most of our research comes from those practices. We're also using research from our Clarity for Learning to increase teacher efficacy in our teaching and our instruction.
Okay, and then for those, so the walkthroughs are just more similar to like a Danielson document that has the same look-fors or things along those lines?
So we currently use PAETEP for our data warehouse system for all of our observations and evaluations. So all of our walkthroughs will be aligned to the teacher's formal comprehensive observations.
Okay. Thank you. And then for the in-service days and the professional development days and things like that, that's all being driven from the goals and the strategy. So highlighted, I guess someone on your team.
Perfect lead-in.
I would say someone
Yes,
from your
it
team is
is.
going to talk about that.
Yes, yes.
Thank
so
you.
The professional development, if you look at our comprehensive plan on our website, professional development is also part of that, but it is also part of the supporting plan that we're going to share with you this evening. So instead of repeating ourselves, Joe is going to talk a little bit more about our comprehensive plan and PD.
So thank you, Ms. Marino. You actually segued very nicely into the PD portion of it. As a precursor to the professional development piece, though, just a note, one of the other supplemental plans that we had submitted as part of the Future Ready Comp Plan is the induction plan, which we've now expanded into a 3-year program with a gradual release model. So basically what that looks like is a standard first-year experience for new teachers to the district and new teachers to the profession. followed up by 2 years of very differentiated, systematic coaching, aside mentors, supervisors on our end, and building principals. So we're very excited about expanding that program, and that was one of the supplementals that we had submitted to the state for approval. With regards to professional development, so to that point of driving or having our PD drive or be informed by our goals for our Future Ready Comprehensive Plan, I'm going to go over just a couple of these with you. So we have collaborative instructional planning and data analysis. So what falls under this area of focus is our clarity piece that we've been talking about, the data protocols that Mrs. Grigaitis had spoken to, as well as small group instructional planning. And that looks a couple different ways, in addition to our data protocols that teachers will engage in at the PLT time that they have, as well as during grade level meetings and team leader meetings. They will also have opportunities to work on the small group instructional planning piece for differentiated instruction with Pete Grandy and TLS. So the middle school and the high school are currently engaging in that work right now. Under the timely and authentic feedback and support on instructional practices, Clarity is also supporting this goal, as well as the other 2 bullets that I had mentioned previously. For creating safe and supportive environments, one of our big areas of focus here is Courageous Conversations, which is taking place and has been for the past year and will continue to 6 through 12. So we are working very closely with Brandon Cummings from the School District of Philadelphia, as well as our own teachers, to drive that work, and have had enormous success with doing that in terms of building our equity, inclusivity, and belongingness. From K through 5, we're working with culturally and linguistically responsive teaching practices, which again we had initiated last year and will continue into the following years. We've also offered PD on our employee assistance program. This is more focused on the staff side of things. For anybody who happens to be struggling either with physical or mental health needs, we had an amazing program developed for teachers where they were exposed to the litany of resources they can access at any time. Second step is our K through 3 focus. So second step is an SEL program that's been adopted by a number of districts. It is a research-based program. And again, that is also something that is contributing towards the EIB goals that we've articulated in the district. And then last but not least, we have Youth Suicide Awareness and Prevention. This is otherwise known as Act 71. So this is a 5-year cycle, and our school district is currently in its first year of that cycle for compliance. All staff is trained in Act 71. In terms of what we take a look at with our professional development, there is a process to it. We are not the ones who drive that. Obviously, our goals and our comp plan primarily drives it, as well as the feedback that we elicit from participants throughout the year, as well as our PD committee. So it's a multi-tiered process. We've set the direction, we're assessing our needs, creating a plan, implementing it, monitoring, and adjusting. And this is a continuous cycle where we're continually adding feedback that we get from different stakeholders at different points in the process to drive what we're doing.
Thank you very much. And again, we're going to move forward 2 slides so that we don't reiterate the same exact things. The last plan is also a supporting plan that we are asked to view and review with our board. It is our gifted support plan, and Mrs. Karen Burke is going to explain the gifted support plan. This has also been published on our website for the past 28 days.
Okay, so our gifted support plan does include 3 components. The first one is a component for identifying children who are gifted and who are in need of specially designed instruction, as well as gifted special education programs. The second part is that we make the gifted education plan available to the public. And the third is that we provide reports of any students or personnel, including the costs of the elements of the program for the programs that are provided to the students. So we do provide screening for all of our students in 2nd grade to see if we are capturing those students who do need especially designed instruction for gifted support. We also provide professional development to the teachers so that they know what to look for in recommending that students be recommended to child study teams for evaluation. And we also do differentiated instruction so that there is extensions to the curriculum so that students can have work that does align with their cognitive abilities. Any questions about that? There is a continuum of services with gifted education from kindergarten through 12th grade. So that program, the services do exist for all of our students for the duration of while they are in school. Any questions?
Not about the gifted, but just one quick follow-up question around the induction program. Could you just elaborate a little bit around what that looks like for new teachers, especially now with the teacher shortage, just being really intentional around supporting new staff? Could you just elaborate about what that looks like?
Certainly, and an excellent question. One of the reasons we wanted to expand it was because in an effort to not just recruit, but retain new employees, because we're all aware of the shortage. The program will look like a standard. PDE requires in the first year a series of monthly meetings, and they cover a range of topics. Pupil services is part of that conversation. Today we just had our meeting right over here in the library for our first monthly meeting, going over the evaluation system and talking through what it looks like to be an effective educator based on the frameworks that we have. So teachers will engage in those district office-led conversations as well as building-based conversations throughout the year. That satisfies their first year where they get their certificate from the state per PA school code. Years 2 and 3 will be differentiated. So what that looks like is a lot of work with your mentor and establishing goals that you have in common with your mentor or something that you have established as an area or component of practice that would be of interest to you as an educator. So there are multiple touch points there. We're still following through with those walkthroughs and really customizing what that experience looks like for new teachers on our end, as well as from the mentor and the building principal side. And then there's a gradual kind of winding down of that in year 3. And every step of the way, there's going to be embedded resources and things of that nature to ensure that those teachers are successful both individually and consistent with the goals that we've laid out in the comp plan.
We also have 3 days prior to the work year beginning where all of our new staff come in, and what we do is we have all the long-term subs come in, teachers who are in for anywhere from 45 to 90 days, perhaps for somebody who's on maternity or on some other type of leave. Even if it's a teacher who has tenure already, but they're new to Colonial, we ask them to come in and participate so they get time here in central office, meet everybody, and then they get specific time in their buildings with their building principals and their mentor teachers, which is really profitable. And that culminates in they take a bus ride around the district and they see our 3 municipalities and they visit the schools.
Yeah, I think that's all wonderful. Just in terms of like the touch points throughout the year, what does the feedback loop look like for staff? Is it just typically a survey? In other words, like what is driving their needs per se? I'm sure there's a needs assessment done in the beginning. That's how you're matching them to mentors, all that fun stuff. But just thinking about like what is that constant feedback loop and those touch points?
So it's another excellent question. Obviously, surveys are the best way to get that kind of gauge to see where they're at on a number of different metrics. So at the end of every session, we will do that. We also collect logs from mentors and logs from building principals to see what the nature of the meetings were. Very often that includes minutes of those meetings, so it could be a bulleted list, it could be a narrative, but that gives us a broader picture of what everybody in terms of recurring themes might need to focus on, as well as that specificity that we're looking for. And we're always monitoring and adjusting, much like we do with our professional development based on that feedback.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
Certainly.
Follow-up question regarding, I think to Ms. Grigaitis, regarding your observations and evaluations that administrators conduct. You said you use PIATech is the system?
PA, yep.
PIA, say that one more time.
PA, Pennsylvania.
PA,
And
okay.
yeah.
Okay, I'm not familiar with that platform. But does it provide the ability for administrators to collect trends across the observations that they've seen, and how do they utilize the trends that they see, not just in their buildings, but across buildings to plan professional development and the professional learning time, offering teachers opportunities to collaborate around areas of need?
Yes, it does, and Mr. Bogley can probably talk more about this too, but we actually get to pull a report, and we can differentiate that report by secondary schools, elementary schools, specific elementary schools. We can delineate which areas of growth were most noted, which areas of strength were most noted, and that also plays into our professional learning development and PLT discussions. It's a very collaborative process. A lot of districts use My Learning Plan or something similar, so they all have pretty much the same components into them. Sure. Are there any other questions or comments on either the Future Ready Comp Plan, the Gifted Plan, the Induction Plan, or the Professional Learning Plan?
Sort of going on the line of the induction plan, do we do any sort of tracking about the teachers that we're not able to retain, or reasons for leaving, or ways we could support them better? I realize most of it's probably a contract was available somewhere else, et cetera, but that's any sort of failure monitoring?
Mr. Carpenter, I think that's above my pay grade. That would be an HR-related question. They would be able to answer that more clearly than I could.
In my 5 years here, we've been fortunate, and if we've lost teachers, it's been due to retirement. But I can have Mrs. O'Reilly's office put together a little report for the past 5 to 10 years, and I'm sure we've had people either who, found opportunities in other districts or moved, but our retention rate has been very high, I can tell you, in the recent history.
Okay, the next item on our agenda is our summer programming. And again, our team is going to talk about summer programming. Keep going, Drew. There you go. Thank you.
Thanks, Joe. Good evening, everyone. So I think our summer programs that we're going to share with you this evening are all in order of date. So this was our first program that we offered, and it was K-5 enrichment program. So this is near and dear to my heart. This is the first year that we did this. And this was actually kind of came out of a survey that we put out to parents in regards to some of the ESSERS funds as to what types of opportunities they would like for their students. So we have other programs that you'll hear about that are more about retention or remediation, but this was one that was more geared towards helping kids to do things that they just like to do and enjoy without having to necessarily tie it to a specific set curriculum. So the two camps that we offered, one was for technology, the other was for wellness. They were offered the week immediately following school ending, so that was the 13th to the 16th. Monday through Thursday. We didn't do Fridays because we didn't think anybody would show up, to be honest with you. And the time, we had two different sessions. We had an AM session and we had a PM session. We thought that it was necessary to differentiate the kids based upon age for their ability levels. So we had kids that were entering first grade through those that were entering second, attend in the morning, and then in the afternoon we had students that were entering third into those that were entering fifth. And that helped us a lot with our planning and really making it target what the kids were most interested in by their grade bands. Our technology camp, we had 2 teachers that worked with us, and we had a large number of students. You'll see we had 34 students in the morning and 32 in the afternoon. We did a couple different activities with them based by day. The first day we worked with Lego education kits, and the kids actually created simple machines, and then they coded those machines with block code in order for them to manipulate and do whatever they wanted them to do. Then we introduced a new robot that we recently received, which is called an Indie robot. And that actually has students code with actually not using a device. So they're using color tiles to program before we actually had them get to programming things within the computer or the iPad. The third day we did Makey, so we worked with circuitry, and we had students be part of that circuit as well. That's how Makey works. And then lastly, we used the good old Spiros, which we've had for some time, but that actually we used it with paint. And so students actually were creating art projects with the robots, so they were being creative while using them at the same time. And then the second program that we offered was wellness. And really it was just a lot about, it was an intro to mindfulness, an intro to empathy. We helped students practice self-breathing techniques and positive talk for themselves, and just gave them the opportunity to find ways to help them manage stress, journal, etc. And the feedback that we got from parents from both groups was very positive. They would like us to extend it to 2 weeks and for it to be full day. I don't know if that's going to be possible because it's challenging to try to staff. And also, we have a limited number of space. But overall, I would say it was a very successful program. We're looking forward to offering again in the future.
All right, so the next summer program that we had in chronological order was our Summer Literacy Blast. This program consisted of guided reading groups daily, research projects, writing lessons, and word study instructions. One of the really big highlights of the Summer Literacy Blast was the daily assemblies that they had. They ranged from the White Marsh Fire Department to the K-9 unit come to talk with the students. They had Julia Rose, who was a news reporter, Kenny Williams, who was an athletic trainer, Shane Victorino, which was the World Series baseball player that everybody's aware of. Unfortunately, I was not able to be there that day. April Litwin is a published author and one of our White Marsh Elementary Grade 2 teachers. And then we also had an author, Mike Cicatello. I believe he was a Plymouth White Marsh graduate, if I recall that correctly. It was a great way to start the summer for the students because it encouraged the students to read throughout the summer. At the conclusion of the summer literacy blast, the students and families received a certificate highlighting the assemblies and the key skills the students should focus on for the rest of the summer and into the school year.
Okay. I have the summer programs for Title I, and as you are probably already aware, Conshohocken Elementary School and Plymouth Elementary School are our two Title I buildings for the school district. So one of the things that they like to do based upon parent feedback is offer a summer program for students. All students are able to attend, but there are some students that are encouraged based upon data that we have from our Linkit reporting and other resources. This year, due to construction at Conshohocken Elementary School, the program wasn't able to be offered at that building, so both schools' programs were offered at Plymouth Elementary School. We did provide busing for students at Conshohocken Elementary School so that they could be bused over to Plymouth, and the program ran for half day, Monday through Friday, from July 11th to July 28th. We had 58 students enroll and 44 participated. And it was for students entering grade 1 through 3. Most of the work during that time frame was working with resources that we use in school, particularly in math and ELA. So there was morning meeting like we would do in a normal, typical school day, and then we would work with resources such as foundations or word work. We did guided math and math centers, guided reading, and we also made use of Lexia and Dreambox, which are some of the resources that we use in our centers during the regular school year. So we do think that next year the program might look different again, and we're hoping that we'll have better enrollment when the Conshohocken students themselves are also in their own building, because we think that the busing might have deterred some people from participating. But overall, it was a successful program, but we're hopefully going to adjust some of those things next school year.
I have a question about two of the programs, what you just spoke about in Ed. So the enrollment was much higher in both programs than the actual attendance. Mm-hmm. Were kids turned away because you had a maximum in either program?
For ours, for Title I, no. Kids were turned away in the enrichment camp because of the number of staff that we had.
And then kids didn't show? No, there was another program that kids didn't show up who enrolled.
The next program, yes, the Summer Academy,
right.
We did have a wait list for, but then
you're
correct.
Telling them like the day of because
right.
People aren't showing up.
Correct.
So I'm just wondering what we could do better to make sure that kids show up so that we're not turning away anybody.
Right.
I know. Fix that, will you, Ed?
Yes, I will fix that.
Okay.
If I can make a suggestion, thinking of that, I think one of the challenges you might encounter is the local camp start enrollment so much earlier. I know the community center, and there's always a push to enroll, particularly in their indoor camp, not so much the playground camp because it fills up so quickly, but parents pay for that beginning in March and April. And so then if you find out that there's camps available in June and July, you're kind of like, do I send my kid to this one that's local and it's academic, or do I send my kid to the one that's in the community that I've already paid for and I can't get a refund from? I think that can impact, so the sooner we can let parents know what's available, I think that might level it out a little bit, particularly as we start planning into next year.
And we do try to have the information about our programs early on in the winter. So we'll be sure to do that again this year.
And we typically discuss it at our CCOB meeting in January so that we can send the registrations out in February. And that is what we did last year. But we have been having the same discussions amongst our team is how can we better do this? They're free opportunities, and we do understand that other opportunities arise. But it is unfortunate we have a wait list and then we call them
Right.
and
I mean, it wouldn't bother
patients.
me if there was no wait list. But we're turning away kids for these free programs.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And then they're not showing. It's really a shame.
We'll definitely look at solutions to solve that. So the next summer program I'd like to talk to is the Summer Academy. This was more towards the end of the summer, right before school started. And this consisted of reading and math lessons. For the reading, we used a Jan Richardson-based RISE program, where students worked in guided reading groups on fiction and nonfiction text. Each lesson included a word study, reading, and a comprehension and writing component. For our math portion, we used the Tang Math summer curriculum or summer resources, where students explored number sense and computation through a concrete, pictorial, and abstract progression approach. Next slide, Drew. And then we also had some opportunities for our middle and high school students. This second year in a row, Colonial Middle School had their summer program. This was for students entering 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. However, this year, based off our data, we had it off. We only offered it to exiting 7th and 8th grade students. For Plymouth Whitemarsh High School, we had our credit recovery program again. Again, this was the majority of the summer, and we offered 72 courses. The majority of those courses were in English, history, and science.
Any other questions, thoughts, or comments on our summer programming? I have two conference.
I was just going to say, as always, you guys put together amazing programs that really help our kids, and I know it takes a lot of time and effort, and thank you.
Thank you. We do have two conference requests that we will be asking the board to consider this evening. One is Dr. Rich Madel, who will be attending a conference in Boston. He will be speaking at the conference in Boston, and it is a World Language Expo and annual conference. And then the second one is our counselor, Beth Lynch, from the high school, and she is going to what they call a fly-in at the University of Tampa, where she'll be hearing about more opportunities available for our students. Questions about that?
That's at no cost to the district.
It is. They fly her in, which is great. Pay for everything.
Beth really does. She took over, I think, 3 years ago as our college counselor, and each year I hear from senior parents who unsolicited just call and just talk about the work she does.
I've heard wonderful things about her. I've never dealt with her personally, but I hear great things about her.
She's been great.
Did the conference that Dr. Madel, did they somewhat provide some assistance in his conference fees since he's a speaker, since he's speaking? Was there
They did not. That's sort of fallen by the wayside the past few years.
All right, Ms. Clay, back to you. Thank you all.
Thank you. Do we have any public comment at this time?
None at this time.
Okay, we're going to adjourn and move into, unless the board needs a break, we'll move right into community service and relations. We good? Good. I see 2 thumbs, 3, 4. All right.